purpose of this meeting, I'm representing the public and those external bodies who, throughout this process, have been ignored. This has already been leaked to the press, so I encourage this entire statement is heard. Well, since we last met, what has changed? WNC entire planning organisation has been reported as unfit for purpose by the peer-to-peer report. This is you. This is WNC planning, and this is your ability to make correct decisions in the interest of the public. Given this entire process has been delivered by a failing organisation, how can the public be confident that the decisions made are in the public interest? The submission references planning approval from the 19th of Feb 2021. There is no record keeping of this crucial meeting, and there is no archive despite it happening online during lockdown. Why? No wonder there are no objections. In reality, what we see is that this is the first and only time that anyone has been able to scrutinise this submission. The process outlines either a lack of accurate record keeping or deliberate attempt to avoid scrutiny from top to bottom. If WNC believed this entire project is above board, there would be fewer darker corners, and our continuous request to engage would have not been denied. What we've seen here is nothing short of a public scandal between landowners, Lockhart Garrett, WNC leaders, planning, highways, developers and the Forestry Commission. When these plans were proposed, why did no one in the planning authority ask for a revision to the plans which would have avoided and mitigated the risk to Halston Firs by building these developments around the forest utilising existing road infrastructure? 1,800 trees is 12 times both that of Wellingborough and Plymouth. General feedback from what I've received has generally been denial. This is the old council. We inherited this issue. This is the same failed organisation with a different sign above the door under new management. You were accountable. You failed. The next stage is admission. There is almost a limitless area of land to the east of the clearing, but instead plans were not amended that would have mitigated almost all environmental impact. Reserved matters or wider outline. This is a failure. In terms of consultation, it's non-existent. No wonder there are so few objections. There is, and has never been, any plans around the site which explain the project, given the public and the opportunity to engage. There is no Grosvenor Centre treatment here. If anyone even provides feedback, they're either lied to or ignored, or the will is simply lost. Lockhart Garrett signage provides no mention of any plans. They greenwash entirely whilst each party individually secures the bare legal requirement to pour concrete in the forest, while the public waits 100 years for the project's net benefit. Northampton has a chronic shortage of social housing, and this entire development does nothing to address this problem. It replaces green space with the wrong mix of housing. According to WNC, a wrong development is no better than no development. We need greater scrutiny on the Section 106 agreement. Who is responsible for negotiating such a terrible deal on behalf of the public? Looking at the mix of houses, free market versus affordable, calculate the mix of bedrooms, calculate the space as a mix. These reserve matters boils down to 2% affordable houses on space. Whichever way this is spun, this is a terrible deal and does nothing to fix the crisis in Northampton. In terms of feedback, I did receive some from councillors, and it came from Sam Rumans, and apologies for the language I'm about to use. Yet, so there are layers to this development. The road itself, it's a shit project that the old borough council basically backed itself into a corner over. The road's only real purpose is to serve the housing development. Even though all the councillors I speak to agree with me, it's simply a shower of shit. Fears were that if the road was cancelled, the housing estate didn't go ahead and the Government Department for Housing removes local planning powers and imposes developments with no local say. Personally, I think it's a crap reason, but anyway, I lost the argument a number of times, but this is where we are. Is this what planning powers in control looks like? Speaking to the external bodies who highlight no objection, Halston Parish Council, why is it even listed? There's constant failure over how planning engages with parish councils, also confirmed in the peer-to-peer report. The Canal Rivers Trust, the Ramblers, the Badgers Association, time and time again, engagement, common thread. To make this submission look any more credible, can I suggest to include a no objection from West Northlands Unicorn Society? My experience throughout this has been quite saddening. This is the town where I live, and as a member of the public I see a failing organisation which is poorly led, It's incapable of making decisions in the interests of those it serves. Every touch point, individual, external body I reach out to provided me with evidence that those in governance are failing the people it represents. The peer-to-peer report firmly cements this. Finally, one final thing. I would encourage that not only are these plans rejected in full, but an independent investigation is launched into how this development was adopted, unchecked, and advanced so far without any form of scrutiny. Serious questions need to be asked on the leadership and culture that exists in WNC planning, and how, as an organisation, it has failed so spectacularly those it represents. Bad decision making is part of the fabric of WNC, and the legacy is being replicated into the present and future representatives. Raise your hand, and you are personally normalising WNC with failing culture.